So you just sold your home and you want to know, how much of this cash are you actually going to keep? Well, first of all, you got realtor commissions. Then on top of that, we've got a lot of repairs that we had to do on this particular house. Then on top of that, we've got some concessions, I got some closing costs, I've got some bills, I've got like mortgage, a lot of mortgage. And at the end of the day, it's like, wait a second, I thought I was gonna get all this money. No, you ain't, unless you know how to do this. You know, if you're an expert real estate investor like me, and you sell a house and you make $200,000, when all the fees come out, it doesn't hurt that bad. But I'm telling you right now that when you sell a house and you're only maybe making a $50,000 profit, it feels like half of that money is literally going out the window and you're wondering, why did I even sell this? Like, should I have not sold it? Like, should I have just kept it and then like pulled some equity out of it and built my portfolio bigger? Like, it's a ton of money. When you sell your home, you're probably hoping to make some money, but before you start calculating what you will make on the sale, it's important to understand that it will cost you. There are a variety of costs associated with selling your house, and you don't just pocket the full amount of the sales price. Let me give you an example of a $400,000 home and look at all the considerations that you might be needing to think about. The first one is realtor commissions. Now, at 6%, you're gonna be paying roughly $24,000 in realtor commissions. Half of that is for the buying agent, half of that is for the selling agent. And fortunately, brand new laws are currently being passed that is gonna change that situation. But until it's adopted, that's just a ton of money to go out the door. Then on top of that, you have to prepare to sell this house. So there's like prep work in the form of paperwork and hiring experts to make sure that legally all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed. You have pre-listing inspection, because often it's like, hey, like, inspector, come in and tell me what someone in the market is going to be looking for to make sure I have this thing set up the right way. Then we get to the repairs, because if we're in a buyer's market, those buyers are going to be picky and choosy. They're going to be looking at all the competition, and guess what they're looking for? They're looking for the nicest house that they can find. If we're in a seller's market, dude, you don't have to redo the carpet, the paint, and the whatever, because right now it's just like houses are selling so quick. Like if you remember the pandemic, it was like, didn't matter if your house was in good condition or not, someone was going to come in and say, well, I'll eat that cost, I'll do the paint and carpet on my own. So in many typical markets, you actually need to get your house up to snuff. And so if you think about it, it's like, well, I have a 2,500 square foot home, so I have to recarpet that. That might cost $10,000 or $15,000. I have to do the paint. Am I gonna do it myself or pay thousands of dollars to a painter to do that? Is my roof up to snuff? What about my HVAC and other systems inside the house? And so there's often a lot of money that you sink into the house to quote unquote get it ready for the market. When you actually sell your house, if you have a loan against it with the bank, that does need to get paid off. And does your bank have a prepayment penalty, or are there any other funky liens that are attached to the house that also need to get paid off? Like, for example, let's just say you didn't pay your taxes. Then you're gonna get a tax lien on your house, and when you sell it, then the government is gonna say, hey, we want our money first before you collect a penny of potential leftover money. Then you have closing costs and you have concessions. So when you're actually negotiating with someone who says, wow, I wanna buy your house, but can you throw in a little of this, and can you put $4,000 towards that repair, or can you do some of this? Those are called concessions. And on top of that, you always have 1 or 2% that goes towards the closing costs. And it's typical for a buyer to say, hey, I'm gonna have you cover those as well. So there's a few more $1,000s going out the door. Then you have to think, well, do I need storage units? Do I have moving expenses? And before you know it, you can look at all your total expenses and start realizing, geez, there's sometimes tens of thousands of dollars going out the door to basically sell this house. When I became a successful real estate investor, I found that I would make my money when I bought a house. So I would often buy it and get it under market, and I would feel good because I was like, wow, this property is worth $250,000 and I bought it for $200,000. I bought it for $50,000 below. And even though I didn't make $50,000, I knew that someday when I sold the house, that I would then make the money. Or if I held on to the house and pulled some of the money out through like a refinance or a home equity line of credit, I would know, man, I made my money when I bought, and the longer I held it, the more money I would make. But let me tell you, I'll never forget the very first time I sold a property. It was the very first house that I had ever done, and I was just so eager to pocket $50,000 and put it into the bank. Yeah, I had the realtor commissions, and I had the closing costs, and I had other fees that came out, and I didn't like any of that, but nonetheless, it was like this amazing feeling when to walk into the bank and deposit that money, and then to get the little slip of paper that said that my bank account balance had gone up $50,000. I had never experienced that before in my entire life. And I'm also gonna share with you one of my first and biggest regrets in real estate. It was going from the teller with that smile on my face, with that banknote. It started when the teller handed me that piece of paper that said that my bank account was up $50,000. And by the time I exited the bank, I had a huge frown on my face. And it's because I started thinking, man, I spent all of that money to sell this house, but what am I gonna do with the 50 grand anyway? Well, shoot, man, I could buy a flat screen TV, I could buy a car. Like, I started daydreaming what people my young age would be doing with the money. And I said, you know what? I made this money investing in real estate. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna invest in real estate. Wait a second. I already had a house that I just sold. It was making me a lot of money. It had tax benefits. The people living there were actually paying it off. It was going up in value. Why would I sell it if I could have just kept it, done a refinance, and pulled enough money out to buy a second house? I just have another house. I would have double the assets. I would be double the cash flow. I'd be double the tax benefits. I would be double the appreciation. I would have been double better off. And that's when I realized that the game of real estate isn't technically about selling property. I had to sell a few properties before I really learned what real estate was about. You see, when I sold that home and I put $50,000 in the bank, I did it not for the money. I actually did it for an emotional payoff. I did it because I wanted to feel a certain way. And oftentimes when we stack up cash in the bank, it's so that we can have peace of mind, because we convince ourselves that if we have enough money there that we can feel good. But I learned after selling that property that it was a mistake, because even though I got the money, I got rid of the house. And I realized what I wanted instead was the house, but not necessarily a big stack of money. Let me clarify. If we fast forward a few years later, I had 25 properties. They were each paying me $500 a month of positive cash flow. That meant that when the renter every month gave me their money, the rent was enough to pay the mortgage, to cover all the expenses, and there was about $500 left over. And I had 25 of these, which meant that I had over $12,000 a month coming in passively and residually. And so it was either sell a house and literally make like $50,000 and feel good, or have $12,000 come in every month like clockwork, no matter what. And I'll tell you what I figured out. Any day of the week, anytime I have an opportunity to sell a house and get a stack of cash, do you know what my personal preference is? Keep the house, take the money out, buy more houses, and increase the real definition of security. You see, if your expenses are $8,000 a month, when you own enough real estate that produces $10,000 a month, do you know what kind of freedom this 10,000 residual dollars every month buys you? Well, the first one is you don't have to have a job. If you don't want to, like literally you can go into your boss's office and say, I quit, I'm done. And your boss might be like, did we fail you? Are you getting a different job? And your answer will be, no, I just don't need a job anymore. You see, I have houses that go to work for me and they never sleep. They work day and night for me, and they produce $10,000 every single month, which is more than the salary you are giving me. And then your boss might say, shoot, that's amazing. What are you gonna do with your life? And you're like, I don't even know, I'm gonna reinvent myself. I got all my time back. I could get another job. I could make more money. I could invest and buy more real estate. I could go travel. The world is now available to you at your fingertips, and you have choices in what you can do. The point that I'm trying to make is that when you sell real estate, you have a lot of expenses, and you're gonna have to pay them no matter what. In fact, you may have to also pay what's called capital gains, which means whatever money you made on the proceeds of the house, the government is gonna probably tax you 20%. And so you think, I made out like a bandit. Here's 50 grand after paying all those expenses, and the government says, nope, we're gonna take 20% of that. Here's another $10,000 again that you don't get to keep. But here's the crazy part. If you own the real estate and instead you expand it into owning more real estate, you never have to pay those capital gains. You don't have to pay closing costs. You don't have to pay realtor fees. You don't actually have to pay any of the fees whatsoever. And the savings on fees alone is what you get to theoretically roll into more real estate, so that what you're now doing is building a portfolio of homes that are paying you a positive income. So am I saying that you don't ever have to worry about selling real estate ever again to get that stack of cash? And you're thinking, no, Kris, I want the stack of cash, bro. I understand it was a mistake for you, but what if I want that feeling of $50,000 or $200,000 sitting in the bank? Well, let me tell you what happens next. You're not gonna feel good with that money sitting in your bank, because since the pandemic, the value of the dollar has shrunk 25%. That, my friend, is called inflation. So you're gonna be desperate to take that stack of cash and put it somewhere. And then you're gonna start wondering, man, should I put it in the stock market? No, real estate did better than that. Oh, should I put it in a 401k or an IRA? No, real estate did better than that. And that's when you wake up to the realization that if you know what you're doing, you can passively earn 25% a year on your money sitting in real estate, and you can't do that almost anywhere else. In which case you think, I guess I should just have kept my real estate in the first place, avoided all the fees, avoided all the taxes, and instead just accessed some of the money out of it, plopped it into another piece of real estate, and start getting double the benefits. And if you play this out over time, 10 homes taste better than 1 home. And 100 homes taste better than 10 homes. Because now on all of those homes, you have positive cash flow, you have appreciation, you're winning left and right, someone else is paying off the house, and you never have to pay these taxes and you never have to pay these fees. So you're probably thinking, okay, Kris, like you almost have me convinced, but bro, I do not want to be a landlord. Like, sounds like becoming a real estate investor is just another job. And what if I don't want that job? What if I don't know anything about it and I don't want to go through the learning curve and it's just too hard to do? Then let me tell you right now, there is a magical link below this video where Uncle Kris will partner with you and literally do all of the work for you. And when I say all the work, I mean 100% of the work. I have a team of 200 experts, and what I do is I professionally build portfolios for people that outperform their retirement 27-1. Because at retirement age, the average 65-year-old has $250,000 for retirement, and they're also spending on average $80,000 a year, which means they just literally worked 40 years of their life and they only have 3 years worth of money. Instead of 401k'ing and IRAing and house payer offering, you partner with someone like me and I'll help you move those equities into real estate where you outperform 27-1, and now you don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars for retirement, you literally have millions of dollars. Just don't forget, the number one thing working against you is the clock, which means the earlier you start this and the younger you are, the better it is for you. It's not too late if you're 65 or 55 years old, but starting younger is actually better. So in summary, if you have a house that you were thinking of selling, pause, click the link below, fill out the information, and talk to me and my team. You may end up deciding I need to keep that house, pull some money out of it, and then go buy a bunch of other houses. Maybe we'll do an analysis that says you should sell the house because it's maybe the wrong house in the wrong area or the wrong size for a portfolio. But either way, we can get you started on your journey to building tremendous amounts of wealth based on my $2 billion track record on my last 6,500 homes. If you want to know what that looks like, click the link below. Let me show you. I get it. You might be thinking, Kris, if I sell my house, I wasn't going to get a ton of money anyway. Or actually, what if I was just watching for education and I don't have a house? What if I don't have money to build a portfolio with? Have no fear. There's a way to build a portfolio of real estate with no money and no credit. Believe me, I've done it time and time again. And if you watch this video right here, click this link, let me show you how it gets done.